In this video, we're going to talk about fasting and how fasting is the cure for many diseases that you face, that I face, and that we all face as a species. We're going to talk about autophagy, the deep clean in fasting, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, blood sugar, and how to regulate your blood sugar. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you 10 actionable items that you can do right now to start fasting and see the changes in your life. So stick with me until the end, and I'm going to prove that intermittent and prolonged fasting can change your life for the better. So what is fasting? Fasting is voluntarily abstaining for food for some amount of time, right? It's not starving yourself. It is just going a little bit longer before you eat. And when you do that, your body has time to repair and reset a lot of systems that are normally overloaded with today's super processed diet. So I want to start with one of the most exciting aspects of fasting, which is autophagy. And a lot of people get into fasting because of this. Autophagy is triggered about 17 hours into the fast. The body will start clearing away damaged cells, pathogens, proteins that are misshapen. What this is going to do is going to reduce your systemic inflammation all over, and it's going to promote longevity. So just by holding off eating a little longer, your body is actually going to start to look around and take out damaged parts. And guess what? Later on, it's going to come back when you start refeeding again, and it's going to rebuild those missing parts that it needs, and they will be brand new and perfectly efficient. So this is such a cool part of autophagy. When autophagy is in play, it's also going to reduce your risk of many brain degenerative diseases that a lot of people suffer from today, like Parkinson's, dementia, and Alzheimer's. Autophagy is going to help with tissue regeneration. Fasting can accelerate your healing of your body. We can also make the case that if you're fasting, we can lower the risk of all the major diseases that are currently plaguing our society, from heart disease to diabetes to skin-related diseases and more. The next major thing I want to talk about is inflammation. And there's a lot of people out there in our society that are suffering from these types of issues. And what fasting can do is reduce a marker in your body, a pro-inflammatory cytokine called TNF-alpha. At some levels, this can help with defense and healing, but at chronically high levels, this TNF-alpha is linked to metabolic syndrome, obesity, insulin resistance, and arthritis. So fasting can actually lower this marker. Another thing is C-reactive protein, which is kind of like a smoke alarm in the body that can be tested to check for systemic inflammation. And so fasting can lower the inflammation and lower this smoke alarm signal that's going off in the body and help to calm everything back down. So by using fasting to lower this inflammation, you're going to be able to self-treat and overcome some autoimmune conditions like psoriasis, arthritis, lupus. You're going to be able to notice early on in a fast that if you suffer from things like arthritis, some of that inflammation in the joints is going to go down very quickly with some fasting. The next big thing that fasting can help with is balancing your blood sugar and improving your insulin sensitivity. So fasting is going to help you start to reverse your type 2 diabetes and your pre-diabetes. Now, obviously, eating a diet with whole foods and lowering your carbohydrate intake is a big part of that. When you eat matters, because when you eat, it turns on your insulin-making machine. So if you restrict the time when you eat, you're going to restrict the amount of insulin going in your body, and you're going to improve your insulin resistance and therefore start to reverse some of these diseases. As your blood sugar rises, the body wants to store that sugar in the cells. And it does that by making insulin in the pancreas and releasing that into the body. The insulin circulates through your body, and it finds that glucose, and it helps to unlock the cells and push that energy inside the cells. But at some point, if you're continuing to eat and taking in more and more energy, the cells are going to get full of energy, and they're not going to have room for any more. But the body can still tell that there is tons of sugar traveling around in your bloodstream, and it wants to put that into the cells. So what does it do? It makes more insulin, and it just continues to pump insulin into the body to try to pack that energy into the cells. The cells are full, can't take any more, so they stop listening. And that is insulin resistance. Okay, that is when there's no more room in the cells for the energy to upload. And that's what causes type 2 diabetes. It is the root problem, is continuing to put more and more energy into the body, keeping the blood sugar high, and there's not enough output to burn away that energy that's in there. The good news is you can start to reverse your type 2 diabetes and possibly even put it completely in remission by using intermittent fasting to help control your insulin. Once you understand that every single bite you take is going to make your insulin go up, you just need to shrink the window that you allow your insulin to go up. And this is going to help your body to catch back up. This, along with whole foods and reducing your carbohydrate intake, and you can really start to make a huge difference in your life. And when you do that, your results are going to start to stack up. Most people want results right now. This process has taken a long time to get where you are, and it's going to take some time to work the other way. So there's a great reference in a book called Atomic Habits. It was written by James Clear, and he talks about celebrating the system instead of waiting to celebrate your progress. So once you start down this road and set this goal to really put some effort into this and start fasting to see results, it's important to realize it's going to take some time to get to your goal. So if you can celebrate your system every single day that you're able to delay your breakfast for an hour, or every single time that you're able to eat supper at 6 p.m., and then not snack anymore before bed. Those are huge wins, and you can celebrate that today instead of putting it off until you wait to see what the scale says. Because if your system is in place and if you are sticking to it, your results will come. I want to talk to you a little bit more about some of the other huge health benefits that you're going to see from fasting. When you are activating autophagy in a lifestyle where your inflammation drops in your body, you begin to greatly reduce the risk of not only type 2 diabetes, but chronic inflammatory disorders. And one of those you know all too well is cancer. So when you incorporate fasting into your life, you're going to greatly reduce the risk of diseases like cancer in your life. And not only that, what you can see is we're starting to reduce the risk of the other major diseases that many people die from each year prematurely. We talked about type 2 diabetes and cancer, but there's another disease that's equally as deadly, and that's heart disease. So fasting is going to help with improving your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, lowering your triglycerides and LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, reducing your blood pressure, decreasing inflammation. And we know that chronic inflammation is linked to atherosclerosis, which is the hardening of the arteries. It's also going to reduce your weight and your visceral fat loss, which is the fat in your organs. This fat around the organs, the visceral fat, is strongly associated with cardiovascular risk. So fasting is going to lower all these risk factors. Another exciting thing about fasting is when we talk about human growth hormone. Now, that's one of the things that as you fast, this human growth hormone gets released from the body. Partly it is to release the stored fat to help you mobilize fat to burn fat in the system, but it's also going to have another huge effect, which is to protect your lean muscle. So if you're someone that is worried about fasting and your body consuming the muscle, it actually prevents against this. And as you get deeper into the fast, 24 hours, 36 hours, the body ramps up human growth hormone as much as 5 times its original level. So we know when we're young, we have a lot of human growth hormone, we grow a lot in our teenage years. Now, as we get older, we have less and less. But when you fast, fasting is going to raise this hormone up tremendously to help out and preserve your lean muscle. Now, what you're going to see from some of the other hormones that the body releases as you go into a fasted state, cortisol is going to help mobilize fat. That's your stress hormone. So stress hormone goes up just a little bit and it helps to mobilize fat. You're going to get some BDNF, which is going to improve your brain function. And you're also going to get some norepinephrine, which is a neurotransmitter, and that's going to increase your mental state. And not only do all those things help to give you more laser-like focus, but also as you start to mobilize fat in your body and your body becomes adapted to burning fat for fuel, it is going to start to create ketones from the fat stores. And this fuel in the brain runs so much cleaner. You're going to have less free radicals. The body is going to be running like a nuclear machine instead of a gas-powered machine. And you're just going to feel absolutely amazing. These are a lot of the benefits that come along with fasting, intermittent fasting, and prolonged fasting. I'm going to give you 10 actionable items now to help you get started with fasting. Number one, to get started, cut carbs. Let's do this over the course of a few days. The first day that you do this, I want you to just eat less carbs than you normally eat, carbohydrates, okay? Think breads, rices, potatoes, sugary things. We're going to try to just reduce from what we normally eat, right? On the second day, I want you to try to get down to about half the carbs that you normally eat. And on the third day, I want you to continue this cut. And for your evening meal, whatever your last meal of the day is, I want you to try to have very few carbs, okay? Vegetables are fine. Things like broccoli, spinach, cauliflower, these kinds of carbs are okay. But I want you to try to really limit the amount of carbs you're having at your supper meal and instead eat a protein. Eat something like fish or chicken or steak or hamburger meat, some kind of lean protein with some healthy fats, some grass-fed butter, some avocado, some olive oil. Your body will start to understand that these foods will fill it up. I know when I first started doing this, I was like, how am I going to get full if I'm not eating any carbs? But it's just not the case. When you eat proteins and vegetables, your body will recognize that as food. It will actually get very satiated from that. Number two, hydrate. Just drink water, coffee, tea. These things are fine as long as they're non-caloric. No calories, all right? You can't have fruit juices. All these things that come with carbs are going to spike your insulin and knock you out of the fasted state. Additionally, when you're drinking your water, put a pinch of salt in it, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, just a good pinch of salt. There's some other electrolytes that are really good while you're fasting, specifically magnesium and potassium. But salt is the biggest one. You probably have salt at home already, so you can start there. Number 3, have your last meal 2 to 3 hours before bed, and that's it. No snacking. That is the third thing is I want you to really build some momentum and practice. Stop eating after your last meal and make sure there is a gap of about 2 to 3 hours before bed. That gives your body time to really start to get this digested, and you'll get into a fasted state sooner. Number 4, delay your breakfast in the morning. Whatever time in the morning you normally eat breakfast, I want you to just push it out 1 hour. First time you do it, try to push it out 1 hour. Maybe you have to do this for a couple of days. Maybe it feels uncomfortable. Most likely will. But you will adapt to it and it will get easier. And then you can do it again. Push out your breakfast another hour. Number 5, we're targeting a 6 to 8 hour eating window. As you push out this breakfast, the time that you break your fast in the morning, I want you to push it closer and closer to about noon, and then eat your first meal at noon. Stop eating your last meal at about 6 p.m. You can shift this time as needed. This is just an example. But from noon to 6 p.m. gives you a 6-hour window to eat. And that brings us into number 6, which is if you're only eating in a 6-hour window, I don't want you to be eating bad foods, all right? We're really going to need to pack in healthy, whole foods during that time. So eat real food, proteins. Don't be scared of fats. Eat healthy fats, grass-fed butter, olive oil, coconut oil. These things are fantastic for your body. And also make sure you're getting some nuts, like some walnuts, chia seeds. These are really healthy fats in them for your body. And then fibrous vegetables, spinach, broccoli. And during this, try to limit your carbs. The more you can limit your carbs, the faster you're going to see results with this. Number 7, and this is going to be a hard one for a lot of you. It was super hard for us here when our family finally committed to this, which is throwing out as much processed junk as you can stand to throw out. There is a great app for this. It is called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. It's a free app. Download this Yuka app and you can scan the barcodes of stuff in your pantry and it will give you a score based on the additives in that. And it will help to really show you how unhealthy some of the things are that we've got used to eating. And then when you're at the grocery store, you can focus more on the produce and the healthy meats and stuff. And the more you can trend toward that, just remember, this is not perfection. This is going to take a while. This is going to take weeks or months. And we're still not even perfect here. It's a constant effort to try to do better. Number 8, and this one is huge. I want you to move daily. Walking, you don't have to work out insanely hard, although that is great for you, but I just want you to get some momentum. So move. Walking in the morning for a little while really is fantastic because you're in a fasted state when you wake up. You're already burning fat, so walking in the morning is going to really accelerate that fat burn. Another great time to walk is after dinner because you've finished your last meal, and now as you walk, you're going to lower your blood sugar, collect glucose clearing, and that's going to help you get into a fasted state sooner and start to burn that fat that you're trying to get rid of. Number 9, a lot of fasting is mental, right? It's going to take some effort to do this. And it's not going to be perfectly easy, especially the first few days, as your body is kind of going to get shocked and like, holy moly, I feel a little weird. And there's going to be some mental hurdles. One of the big things that I've used, and I want you to use, is the phrase, yes, but later. You can still have the things you love. You can still have cake sometimes. You can still have ice cream sometimes. But for now, when you come up on those things and you're trying to get some momentum, I want you to tell yourself, yes, but later. When you get up in the morning and you're ready to eat breakfast and you're like, this is dumb, I want you to think about, yes, but later. Yes, you can have those things, but just delay them a little bit. And just that delay is going to make a huge difference. So be hard at first. I want you to embrace the suck because there will be some, but I guarantee you this is going to get so much easier. And finally, number 10, I want you to commit. I want you to write it down somewhere. I want you to leave a comment on this video saying, I'm going to give this a try. Or I want you to tell someone else. I want you to put a note by your bed that says, I'm going to try to fast, or I'm doing this. Something to remind yourself when you wake up tomorrow that you're doing this, that is as important to you and that you're going to give it a try. So you can expect over the first few days of this to your energy to drop just a little bit, some mood swings. But as the body learns to start accessing this, it's called fat adaptation. It's learning again to burn this fat. It's very good at it, actually, and it's going to feel amazing, but you've got to give it a few days for the transition period, and you're going to feel awesome. Guys, that's it for this video on fasting. I really hope this has helped somebody. I'd love to know if it's helped you, so please leave a comment down below on where you are in your fasting journey, if you're fasting, what kind of results that you've got from fasting, and please consider subscribing to the channel. That is the best way to help me support this channel and to help empower others and get this information out there, so hopefully we can make a difference in others' lives. Thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.